It's me. I'm back. Hello friends, it's been a while and I have returned from my hero's journey, if you will, from across the seas, and now I am back here. Inče vedno govorim slovensko. In hrvatski također. For those of you who are new, I spent the last year and a half of my life serving a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in the Balkans, or sort of the Balkans. I was in the less... I don't know what you like to call yourselves. For those of you who live in Slovenia and Croatia, I was there. Maybe you've met me. Maybe I approached you on the street and said something annoying to you, but I'm back, so you don't need to worry about that anymore. But I learned how to speak Slovene and Croatian, and I did some sewing projects, but most importantly, I learned a lot about myself and my religion, and it was a really good experience, so, you know, thanks for asking. Anyway, today we are going to be making a costume for Halloween because I returned home right before spooky season. This is how I made my Little Red Riding Hood cape, or in Slovenia they call her Rdecha Kapica. So why Little Red Riding Hood, you may ask? Good question. Why not? I think one of the things I missed the most, while I was away from home was wearing cloaks. And so I wanted to make another cloak, and I've also been kind of fond of the color like bright blood red, and so, you know, that's why. For the outer fabric of the cloak I used a cotton muslin, which has a sort of heavier weight, perfect for things like cloaks. It was the same thing, it was the same cotton muslin that I used for my mom apron and for my Princess Charming coat, so you can check out those videos if you'd like to. And I purchased this wine-colored satin for the lining. I've been very fond of Hobby Lobby's satin sections. I just think that the fabric is pretty good quality for polyester satins. Another thing I wanted this cape to have was a pointed hood, and I wanted it to have a capelet and a really pretty clasp, and a last minute detail I added were these little ties. It doesn't really tie. I guess you could make it so it ties, but like they're just kind of like two strips of fabric that dangle from the cape. Anyway, that was just a design choice. And of course, I had to embroider it. You know me. I love my embroidery. So I wanted to give it this kind of woodsy pine tree pattern along the edge. And then in the middle I wanted to do a wolf to kind of bring out that Little Red Riding Hood aspect. But the most important thing was I wanted to dye this fabric a very deep red color, so I bought a lot of dye. First, I had to begin by dyeing my fabric that deep scarlet blood red color. So I got out the dye pot and I went to pre-wash the material. So I forgot that I needed to pre-wash my fabric before I dyed it, so now I have to find something to do for the next 15 minutes or 30 minutes or so. Oh no! Why deny it? Against my will, I am sent to bid you come into dinner. Fair Beatrice, I thank you for your pains. Oh, to be loved. Hey Ron, I think I see the Hogwarts Express. Ron, it's a penguin in a locomotive. Ah. Still not done. I'll give you a tour of the garden. This is my handprint from so many years ago. It's filled with water. My hands really haven't changed much. This is my makeshift pine cone chandelier. The one and only patch of moss. Fairy Town. Fairy Village Part 2. My breath is taken. Mushroom Kingdom. The mysterious. I'm so bored. Update for everyone, I don't think the chicken is still here, but there are goats. he is in all his glory. Oh, finally. Once that was finished, I had 3 gallons of water in my pot with a heap of iodized salt, and after the salt dissolved, I added a whole bottle of scarlet Rit dye. For a very subtle shade of blood red. Whoa, that looks really creepy. Make sure that you test the color with a napkin, and then I added half a bottle of wine red dye. After about 8 minutes, I was not convinced that the red was going to be dark enough, so I added another bottle of scarlet. In my experience, the quantity of dye is what best determines the color quality and not the shade. When I made my Prince coat and my Emma Police, I believe I used 3 bottles of dye for each. So this project, I purchased 2 bottles of scarlet and 1 bottle of wine red. I wanted it to look like the Kool-Aid Man staged a crime scene. I wanted Santa Claus is coming to town. I wanted fire engines blaring sirens down the highway. I wanted Taylor Swift lipstick factory. I think you get the point. I let it sit for about 20 minutes. It's done! I love how it turned out. This color is perfect. Okay, so my goal is to be better at explaining my patterns to you, so I'm just gonna do it here. So I did not use a pattern for this, LOL. I just like to do measurements and then cut it, because basically, when you get used to sewing, you'll realize that most things are just basic shapes, like squares, circles, triangles, and trapezoids, and you can easily just cut them out yourself. Also, if you hear my mom playing piano in the background, she's gorgeous. Leave a like for her. Okay, so what we want to get out of this is, so I ordered 5 yards of fabric, and it is 45 inches wide. And so to make a nice swooshy cape, you want to cut a circle, because this circle, when it lies down, is going to give you like a nice little flare and like swishiness. Here's a little drawing. Woohoo! So I can't do a full circle with this. What I think I decided that I like 3/4 circles. Actually decided to move outside because the piano was a little too distracting for me. I loved it, but I get overstimulated easily. Anyway, so we're going to cut out a 3/4 circle, which means we're going to have 3 panels that make up this cape. So this square is representing a 45 by 45 inch square, but this is also representing 2 pieces of fabric stacked on top of each other. Okay, sorry, I had to go into the manual settings, fix that awful autofocus. Anyway, so take your measuring tape, and I just like to mark it along at 45 inches until it gets to the second edge. And so this will be your quarter circle, and this is folded, so you'll have 2 of these. And then you're just going to take this, what you've already cut out, and then I just use that as a pattern to cut out another one on the next 45 by 45 inch piece of fabric. What we should be left with is, I had about a yard left. I think they gave me a little less than 5 yards than I ordered, but I still made it work. And what I did with this, I folded this salvage to salvage, so I folded it on the shorter end of the fabric, and from here, I cut half of my little capelet, and this is probably the closest I've ever gotten to using a pattern on this project, and I just used the capelet from my gray goblin cape, and it's actually the same capelet from this Simplicity pattern. I'll try and link that down below, but I'm sure it's not that hard to draft a capelet if you want to. The hard part is like taking into account that your shoulder is going to need more fabric and than your than the front and back. So the shoulder is a bit longer. I believe this particular pattern has more fabric in the back as well. But anyway, I just used that, and so this is on the fold. So in reality, we will end up with a full capelet circle. Now, between these two fabrics, so I actually cut the circle like this. Sorry for the confusion. So ignore this line. So these are still connected, right? You're going to end up with this kind of piece. And from this is what we're going to cut the hood out of. And so I folded this right here down the middle, and this is kind of how I laid out my pattern. And these are the dimensions that I had for my hood. So this is not to scale. This is 20 inches long. This is 20 inches long. This is the neck. This is the part that goes around your face, and then this is the point. And then this just kind of tapers off. However, my problem was there was not enough material right here, and so what I ended up doing was cutting a gusset out of some more scraps, and the gusset just looks something like this, just like a little extra triangle. I had no method for cutting out this gusset other than just trying something, because honestly I did not know what to do. But yeah, that's it. And then for this pattern, I also wanted these little these ties, and that I just cut like long strips of fabric for that. Those don't have measurements either. I never took them, but there you go. Okay, I did some things. So I finished cutting out the satin and pinned it together so that I could see how the hood would look, because I think this has a little bit more... I wanted to see how it would lay with this type of fabric, just to see how much better I could see the point on the hood, and I liked this tapered look when I took it in. Sorry, the lighting is really bad right now. So what I've done is I have just taken my gusset that I cut out for my hood, and I have shortened it so that it goes in like this. So I don't need this anymore. And this is just the piece that will go into the back of the hood. So just this little triangle. Yeah, completely unnecessary if you have the amount of fabric that you should have, but just thought I would update you. And here I am chopping the satin to match the ridiculous shape of my red fabric. Before sewing, I gave all my pieces a quick press. Now for the sake of time and convenience, I mostly will be using my serger, but you can totally use a sewing machine for this as well. First, I pieced together my hood because it was the first thing that I had on hand. And then I did the large cape pieces. Embroidery time. Sometimes I'm surprised with how far I am willing to go with tedious hobbies to satisfy my unquenchable obsession with embroidery, but alas, we are here yet again. If you are new to free motion embroidery, you may check out my tutorial on free motion embroidery here on my channel. I realized these pine trees were easy to freehand, so that would save me the trouble of tracing hundreds of them onto the cloak. But just to keep my consistency, I did mark the trunks along the edge of my hem. Okay, so this is the main reference that I'm working off of Pinterest, and this is kind of what I came out with. You can't really see it very well because I did use red chalk on this red fabric, but I'm just hoping that it all turns out well because these lines aren't very crisp, but there will probably be a lot of improvising involved in the sewing up of this, whatever. After about 10 hours of thread and paper, later, the cape was finally ready to be finished. I have no idea how to do this. I started with a desperate amount of brain cells trying to figure out how to cut the neck hole out of my longer cape. Oh, my back. Oh, I'm sorry. Dirty laundry over here. How does this work? 1 3/4. No, that's not right. I don't understand. What am I doing? I think that's the best I got. We're just gonna take the scissors to this. Anxiety is through the roof right now. You know, as appealing as these dagger scissors really are, they're really not comfortable to hold. Most of the time I just shoot footage of me using them and then like continue with my regular scissors, but they are 100% worth it for the drama, I suppose. And then I serged my tubes for the ties. And then I serged the lining good sides facing to the outer fabric. And make sure to pin it so that you don't regret your decisions. And before serging, probably hold up your cape to ensure that the lining doesn't pucker. I did this and it's still puckered, but I guess I can't have everything. That's what I get for not doing math. It's okay though. After sewing, press those capes right side out. Then I sewed together the hood lining just along the edges of the hood, and I pressed the hood and those ties. Then I stay stitched the cape to the capelet along with the ties. And when you do this, make sure that the very inner lining of the cape, like the inner lining, you should know what I'm talking about, that you don't sew that down because you're going to be folding that and hand stitching it in to cover up the seam. And then I attached my hood by means of serger. Now the rest of the work can be done by hand. cover that seam with the lining. Finish those tie ends. And, as a finishing touch, a silver clasp. Can't open it. Well, that's it, I guess. So enjoy now as I present to you my project modeled by me in the woods. Enjoy. Well, friends, I hope you enjoyed that video. I had a lot of fun making it, and this was a nice little small project for me. I don't know if it's a small project for you, though. I guess my small projects aren't that small, but... Anyway, thank you for joining me today as I have made this little Red Riding Hood cape. I hope you enjoyed, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing because it's fun. Or if you can unsubscribe, too. I don't know if you don't like me. Or you can, you know, like the video or dislike the video if you don't like me. You know, leave a nice comment, leave a nasty comment. And I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day. I have more videos coming out. I've rambled on long enough. I hope you have a wonderful day. I will no longer waste your time. Hope you did something fun while you were watching this video. I don't know. Goodbye. Adieu. Do svidaniya. Bok. Ciao. I like multitasking. Hello. And I chose this Celtic pattern for the wolf, which my parents told me it looked like a dragon, which I suppose is also cool. So it is supposed to be a wolf, but I don't, it's fine. I don't care. Ah! Said penguin is now missing somewhere down there. Oh no, I'll find him. I got him. Can't say that no plastic penguins were unharmed in the making of this film. I will go get her picture. I don't know if that was a racist line. Hopefully it wasn't. Oh no, that's not her train. Oh, look out! Oh, look out! Ah! Out for the, hold on. Watch out for the, not the penguin, no! Oh, they missed each other. It's probably too dirty to show that room. What? How are you changing? Ooh, scary. Where are you? Gosh. I don't know why we have so much ranch dressing and salsa. Where's the salt? I'm so blind. It's right here. I mess up your video if I use the microwave. No, you're good. What you eating today? Chili. Chili. And here I am chopping. What? Cropping? Chopping. What? Am I missing a lot of notes here? But I think I've decided what I like are 3/4 inch circles. No, well, that's not what I meant. What I think I decided that I like 3/4. But I'm loving this. I'm loving how big. I love like a good big hood, you know, so it can stow all of my hair in there. That looks really silly. This is so funny. Sorry, I wanted to be like a medieval, you know, beheader person. Ooh. A bit of lime scale build up in there. Sometimes I'm surprised for how I am willing to go with tedious hobbies. What? Yeah, that was good enough. Like a psychopath to, I don't know, what am I listening? Maybe I'm listening to my thoughts. And my thoughts told me I'm a psychopath. It's kind of like when you go running or jogging, but without music or anything, and you're just listening to your breathing as you desperately gasp for air. After sewing, press those this iron is threatening to melt my fabric. Don't try anything, man.
Oh, okay, I thought one of these was a video, but it looks like they're stills. Oh, shoot.
Hey Sally, look over here.
What?
After about 10 minutes of thread and paper, sorry, that was not 10 minutes, 10 hours. After about 10 minutes of thread and, I did it again. I wish it took me 10 minutes to do this embroidery, but it did in fact take me 3 days. And, no, 4 days, I don't remember.